Of roughly 17,000 students at UCO, 1,800 are international students, representing a total of 73 different countries. This is about 10% of the student makeup here on campus. This is proportionally larger than other universities in Oklahoma. About 6% of international students make up the student population at OU, 7% at OSU, and 5% at SWOSU. We have many programs, events, and an incredible international house that brings students in from around the globe. And this number doesn't include students who are from another country but came to America at an early age, which we will look into as well. Today we seek to understand what it's like to attend UCO while being from another country. How have they been treated by members of the community? Have they had any technical issues? Is there anything we can become more aware or knowledgeable on?
National origin pertains to someone's geographic birthplace. It is different from citizenship, which is not protected under Title VII. For these reasons, we decided to interview two people. One came to America at a young age, and one came to America 4 years ago, and both are from the same country. We were interested to see any differences or similarities between the two. We also decided to interview Dr. Dunham, Executive Director of Global Affairs, to ask about the TOEFL exam and why it's important, because this exam is a requirement for all international students whose first language is not English.
So I'm here with Kalina Popova, and so just tell me a little bit about yourself and about your story.
Okay, so myself. My name is Kalina. I'm 22 years old. I moved to the United States when I was 8. I completed first grade in Bulgaria, and I came here for second grade. I didn't know any English. I wasn't put in like any special programs or anything. I just went to the classroom and pretty much like a fish. You know how they drop a fish and then like the fish has to. I drowned for a little bit, but like we made it.
So this one is more of just my own personal like curiosity. In my opinion, I think that the culture at UCO is a lot different than just Edmond as a whole, even though it's in Edmond.
Yeah.
I just think that it's made up of, UCO is made up of different people than in the surrounding community. So I didn't know if you've been treated differently from UCO, or I don't know if it's been different than just the Edmond community as a whole, with you being from Bulgaria.
Right. So I think the Edmond community is really different. It's like a world inside of a world. Like UCO is so different.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I would go to tell someone like my story here, they would be like, that is so cool, but they wouldn't be stunned or surprised. And the Edmond community is still very, I think, not really familiar with diversity. And at UCO, there's not like a type. Like you'd be like, oh, it's a UCO student. That's not a thing because there's like a million different people or kinds of people. So I just feel like they're not as familiar with diversity and people from different parts of the world because they don't expose themselves.
Yeah.
But they're still cool.
They're still cool though. And so my last question is just, how has UCO been as a whole, and do you have any experiences or anything you'd like to add?
A story that I thought about when we were talking about this interview is before I got my citizenship, I was given a call that I got a scholarship called PLC, and it's President's Leadership Council, pays for like most of your school here. And at the time, the boy I was dating, that we went to high school together, he also interviewed for the same one. So since I got the call and he didn't get the call, he assumed that he didn't get the scholarship. And that night we were FaceTiming, I was telling him how excited I was, and he said, you know what I think is weird? And I said, what? And he said, there's like so many good people that are like immigrants, don't get me wrong, but they just kind of take away like the rightfulness, like the rightful things we deserve as like citizens. And he was referring to the scholarship. So I thought that was really like a stab in the, like a slap in the face, a stab in the back.
Yeah.
Kind of
I know this guy. She's not dating him anymore.
Not anymore.
It's over. She has a new boyfriend. And that one's good.
Yes.
So,
but this guy, if you see him around campus, just kick him in the shin.
yeah.
Tell me about yourself.
My name is Latina. I'm from Bulgaria, and this is my 4th year at UCO. My major is criminal justice, and I have 2 minors in political science general and political science pre-law.
Did you have to take the TOEFL?
Yes, I did.
Can you explain what that is and how your experience was?
So it's like an English proficiency exam. You have to do this amount of exercises in reading texts and then answering questions about it to see how good you are with understanding. My mom speaks English, so since I've been like toddler, my mom's been teaching me English, and so it was really kind of easy for me to go into it and kind of just not really stress about it.
Any last comments or stories about your experience and overall how UCO has been for you?
UCO has been great. I have to say that sometimes the process is of like, let's apply for next semester's classes, or if you want to drop, if you want to add a class, that could be like a little hustle, because like as soon as you drop a class, it doesn't even give you like a period for you to apply for another one. It automatically puts a hold on your account, because you know, as internationals, we have to have 12 hours, and if you go below 12, it's like, oh well, we have to call the immigration for you. And then the first time that happened, I freaked out. I started calling everybody at Global Affairs, and they're like, you need to chill. I'm like, I don't know what's happening, y'all.
First, if you just want to start with your name, who you are, kind of what you do.
My name is Dr. Dennis Dunham, and I'm the Executive Director of Global Affairs at the University of Central Oklahoma. And what I do is I manage our office here and our department, bringing international students this way, sending Americans that way, making
Yep.
all the connections. We do the admissions, we do the immigration, we do it all.
Do it
One-stop
all.
shop, almost.
Almost.
Almost. Not all the
there.
academics. Not
I
the
would say it's
academics.
similar.
Similar.
Okay, so I'm going to be asking you a little bit about the TOEFL. If you can just kind of explain what it is and why it's important.
The TOEFL is the test of English as a foreign language, and it's very, very important because we want students to be able to do well in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so ultimately, what we want international students to be able to do is compete with American students. And so they need to be able to compete successfully. So their English needs to be, they need to speak well enough and understand well enough so that they can do those things.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. What are specific examples, or why do you think it's such a need or necessity in the classroom?
Well, first of all, I need to mention that TOEFL is not the only English way we can determine English, their ability to speak English.
Okay.
Some come actually from countries like, you wouldn't imagine, but Ghana and Singapore, English is their native language, so we wouldn't ask them to take the TOEFL
Right,
test.
right.
So there's a lot of countries where we, Canada, for example, we
Of
wouldn't
course.
ask them to take the TOEFL test.
Yeah.
So, and there's also a British test called the IELTS, which is another way that they can take the test. So, for them to be able to, we don't really ask that students with the TOEFL test be able to speak as fluently as a Native American might speak,
Right.
but they need to be able to follow the lecture well enough and then be able to ask questions, and especially the reading is really important for them.
Okay. And then I think this is my last question. How many people who take the TOEFL pass, and if they don't, is there a program or supplemental material they can use to study? Or I just was curious about that. I didn't know.
Well, of course, the TOEFL test is given worldwide, as is the IELTS test. So I don't know exactly how many pass, to be perfectly truthful, but all of our students that are admitted into our program must pass or meet some other English, must meet some English standard. But a lot of the students who come here, if they haven't taken the TOEFL, we can offer the TOEFL test, and that's what we do. We do a lot of testing. If they don't pass it, then we have an English language school. It's not ours, but it's located on campus at the International House, and so they can study English language there until their TOEFL test is ready.
Okay. Do a lot of them do that?
Yes,
Do that?
yes.
Okay.
Particularly in countries where English is a little bit more challenging.
Right.
A lot of students need to come to America to be really immersed in it before their English can get up there.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you so much